Welcome to the new topic, and this new topic will be talking about air pollution. That's what we're talking about in this new topic. So, first off, what is air? In the earth, the earth is covered by a blanket of air called an atmosphere, and so air is a mixture. Keep that in mind. Air is a mixture, and it's a mixture of gases and other things. So, what are the constituents of air by volume? We can be able to know the constituents of air by volume. So let us continue. We have the first constituent of air by volume is nitrogen. Nitrogen is another element of air that has the highest volume possible. Nitrogen is the element of air that has the highest volume possible. So nitrogen has 78.1 percentage. It has the highest volume of air. And what is the function of nitrogen in air? Nitrogen in air is to prevent two major things. Is to prevent corrosion, and combustion. I'll explain what the two processes are. But to be able to understand what corrosion and combustion is, you have to look at oxygen. One of the functions of oxygen, apart from the fact that oxygen is used in breathing, oxygen is a very highly flammable gas, meaning that it catches fire easily. And so the reason why you can burn things successfully in air is because of oxygen. Without oxygen, you cannot be able to burn anything in air. So oxygen is what is allowing the burning of things to be possible. Now, if there is too much oxygen in the air, corrosion is bound to happen and combustion is bound to happen. Corrosion is also called rusting. So rusting is a process of oxygen. That's why you cannot have rusting without oxygen. Oxygen has to be present because the ion Fe would turn Fe2 would turn to Fe2O3, which is iron 3 oxide, and so oxygen is present and combustion. You cannot burn without oxygen. I don't know if you have seen experiments whereby a candle is lit and they put a glass over it. The candle stops burning. Why? Because of oxygen. So nitrogen helps to dull the impact of oxygen by reducing corrosion and also by reducing combustion. So let us continue. We have the noble gases, the rare gases, and it's just 1%. The noble gases are your argon, helium, and your neon. Those are noble gases. Then we have carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide, which is just 0.03. So let us look at our revision question before we move on. Which of the following gases make the largest percentage of atmospheric air? It is nitrogen. Why? Come here. Nitrogen is 4/5 of the atmosphere, while oxygen is 1/5. General rule, that's the general rule. So nitrogen has the highest constituents in air. Next, we'll be talking about oxygen. And what are the functions of oxygen in the atmosphere? It is the most active, meaning it's one of the most reactive. Anytime you hear active means it reacts a lot. For example, there's hardly any compound in the world, for example, that doesn't have a bit of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Hardly any compound that doesn't have these three inside. Out of all the composition of air, oxygen is the one that is found in almost all living organisms. So what is the job of oxygen? It supports life through respiration, is responsible for the rusting of iron, which I called corrosion. Then it enables burning, which is combustion. Enables burning means that it allows things to burn. So how do we determine oxygen's proportion? There are two ways of determining oxygen proportion. You would either use the burning of phosphorus method, or you use the paragallol, alkaline paragallol, to determine oxygen. These are tests for oxygens. So this is a question you will see in JAMB. You will see, why is phosphorus kept underwater? Phosphorus is kept underwater because if phosphorus is exposed to air and oxygen is present, it will immediately combust. It will immediately burn, just like it's here. It will immediately burn. That's why phosphorus is kept underwater. So this procedure is not really important to you, especially for preparation for JAMB, but I'll just go through it. the things I want you to know is this. Know what this is about, what is this, and what is this. There are questions whereby they'll give you like a procedure like this, and they'll tell you to label it. In burning of phosphorus in air to test oxygen, you have a yellow phosphorus and a water throw. Next, we have the alkaline pyrogalol. And what the alkaline pyrogalol does is that it readily absorbs oxygen. So keep this in mind. Whenever you see questions whereby they are asking you, when alkaline pyrogalol or pyrogalol is exposed into air, which of the gases will remain? Note that the only gas that will be removed is oxygen. So all the other gases are going to be remained. Oxygen and carbon dioxide, because of the presence of oxygen and carbon dioxide. That's another gas that will remain. But examples like nitrogen, come back to our constituents of air. So oxygen and carbon dioxide will go. Nitrogen, noble rare gases, and water vapor will remain. So let us come to carbon dioxide, or also called carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide by percentage is 0.03. How do we get carbon dioxide? From the combustion. We will learn about that very soon, where we have what is called complete combustion or incomplete combustion. Just keep that in mind. And through respiration, we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. And so this is the way by which carbon dioxide is released. Then also decay. Through the decay of living organisms, carbon is released into the air, which combines with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Then we have fermentation. We know whenever you're having anaerobic respiration and it is sugars that is being broken down, you have a very high level of carbon dioxide released in the atmosphere. So most carbon dioxide is removed by photosynthesis. Keep this in mind. The carbon dioxide that is released is mostly removed by photosynthesis. Remember, photosynthesis is the process by which plants make their food in the presence of what? Chlorophyll, water, mineral salt, and carbon dioxide. And so carbon dioxide is removed from the air through photosynthesis. Now, how do you detect carbon dioxide in the lab? You detect carbon dioxide by passing air through calcium hydroxide solution, Ca open bracket HOH close bracket 2. And how does this work? By the time you pass air into calcium hydroxide solution, which is also called lime water, turns milky. Why does the lime water turn milky? The lime water turns milky because calcium triazocarbonate 4 is made, CaCO3, and it forms a white precipitate. A precipitate is something that doesn't dissolve completely in water, and so that's what forms that milky substance. Another thing that you can use to absorb or test for carbon dioxide is caustic potash, which is concentrated KOH. So the two things you use to test for carbon dioxide is calcium hydroxide and caustic potash or potassium hydroxide, concentrated one. And what is the test? The test for calcium hydroxide is that the lime water turns milky. Why? Because of the precipitate of calcium triazocarbonate 4, CaCO3. Let's look at these revision questions together. When air is passed through alkaline pyrogalol and then potash, the major gases left are. Now, we know that alkaline pyrogalol removes oxygen. Potash, based on what we just learned now, caustic potash removes carbon dioxide. And so what do you think will be left? If we go back to our composition of air, what do you think will be left? Nitrogen, oxygen has been removed, rare gases, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. I also want to state this, that water vapor too will be removed through alkaline pyrogalol. So all that will be left is nitrogen and noble gases. Next, let us move to water vapor. Where do we get water vapor from? Water vapor in the air depends on the season and the geographical location. For example, in a desert, there will not be a lot of water vapor in the air. And water vapor comes from oceans, rivers, lakes, seas. And how do you detect it? Is by absorbing moisture, by exposing substances that absorb moisture to air. For example, calcium chloride. If you put calcium chloride or pellets of sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, it absorbs water, and once it absorbs water, you know that there's water vapor in the air. Now let us look at a revision question. When air is passed through a tube containing fused calcium chloride, the component that is absorbed is water vapor. So fused calcium chloride takes out water vapor. Let us move to the noble gases. The noble gases are majorly helium, neon, argon, krypton, and xenon, and radon. So the first one is helium. Why is helium an important gas? Because it is used in filling balloons and breathing mixture for sea divers. Also, I want to state this. The reason why helium is used for filling balloons is because helium is light and non-combustible. What does it mean? It means that helium is light, so it can float. And if there is a fire outbreak, it does not catch fire. That's why we can't use hydrogen for balloons. Neon is used for advertising signs. Most of your bulbs are filled with neon gases. Most of your bulbs are filled with neon gases and aerodrome beacons. Argon is used in gas-filled electric bulbs. This is another example of a gas that can be used in your bulbs. So this is why you in the past you have these bulbs that have different color. You have red, you have blue, you have this. What is producing that color is neon and argon. Krypton and xenon is used in photographers' flash tubes, while radon is used in cancer treatment. Let us look at our revision check. The mixture of gases used in photographers' flash tube, look at it, krypton and xenon. What are the impurities that you find in air? Impurities you find in air, we'll talk about this very soon. We have hydrogen sulfide. Anything that is not nitrogen, that is not oxygen, that is not carbon dioxide, that is not inert gases, and water vapor. Anything that is not any of all this is an impurity in air. So just keep that in mind. So what are the evidences that air is a mixture? It has variable composition, there is no chemical reaction, and physical separation. You can separate the constituents of air into its. So there's something I want you to pay attention to. The composition of air when dissolved in water changes. So when air is dissolved in water, oxygen increases. When air is dissolved in water, nitrogen reduces while carbon dioxide increases. Why? In fishes take in oxygen, so oxygen has to increase, while carbon dioxide will also increase. Why? Because carbon dioxide is also passed out. This is one place where JAMB likes to ask questions from a lot. The composition of air when dissolved in water is different from in the atmosphere. Oxygen increases in when dissolved in water compared to the atmosphere, while carbon dioxide as well increases in water in composition when dissolved in water. So we are done for this particular video. I will see you in the next video.